find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Yowza.
I have something to show you.
Okay, I'm here for it.
So I was shopping around on the internet like one does, and we know that I have a love for dark clothing.
Okay, yes.
I'm very gothic. If you've never seen a picture of me and do not know what I look like, I dress all in black and I have long dark hair and I like to skulk around in corners.
Yeah.
Pop out and go blah. And if you're also a longtime listener of the podcast, you'll know I'm a huge fan of the Victorian era and all of its weird death rituals and overly formal affairs.
Oh, you mean the mourning dresses that literally killed people because of the poisons in the fabric?
Oh, those ones. I love that kind of shit. Like when fashion and death culture intersect is where I tend to be most happy.
Okay.
So I saw that a brand that I love, which is called La Femme Noire, was selling a Victorian mourning bonnet.
Holy shit.
It's a...
Oh my God.
It's an honest to God fucking bonnet. I will put it on my head right now.
Is it authentic or is it something that they made?
Oh, it's like I would struggle to call it a reproduction. It's a fashionized version of a Victorian mourning bonnet. It was $64. So we're not...
Damn.
It's not any older than the day it was made 3 months ago, whatever. Oh my God. I'm going to have to take my headphones off.
I know. I was going to say, I love it with the headphones.
Oh my God. Yes. Very Little House on the Death podcast. All right. I'm going to put it on my head.
Okay. I'm excited.
All right. Oh my God. Here we go. I have to remember how to put it on. Which is the front and which is the back. This is the front.
Oh my God. Yes. I'm trying to take a picture, but I can't remember how. Did it. I'll be ready. I'll get a real one.
What are you doing?
I'll be ready. Taking a picture.
Yes, please.
Ready?
Yes.
I love it.
What do you think of my Victorian mourning bonnet?
It's giving funeral in 1875 on a hot Savannah, Georgia evening. It's giving sweet tea at the funeral parlor. It's giving my husband just passed.
Yes.
And I didn't do my hair this morning.
It's giving, am I mourning him or was I the one who killed him? It's giving milkmaid gone deadly.
Yeah, deadly milkmaid for sure.
Little Bo Peep, but make it death positive.
Love it. Love it.
It has like little clips on the inside so you can clip it to your head.
Extra security. I feel like you need to incorporate it into a Halloween costume coming up.
I mean, honestly, like this whole thing really inspired me to at some point have an entire Victorian mourning outfit. Like, you know.
Minus the poison chemicals.
I mean, you know a bitch loves authenticity. No.
I hope they've all been destroyed.
They certainly haven't.
Oh my God.
Well, I thank God that they haven't because then I can go see them in a museum.
True. I want to track one down.
I bet there's one somewhere we can go and see. But I just wanted the listeners to know that I am the proud owner of a modern version of a Victorian mourning bonnet. So, you know, dreams do come true, you guys.
Yeah. So there. Okay.
In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I am Sophie, a miscarriage of justice Schwartz.
And I am Katelyn, the Pacific Northwest's worst nightmare, Hart. and this is the podcast where we talk about bones, bone-related topics, killers, mourning, garb, garb for mourning.
Honestly, if you'd let me, I'd have a whole other branch of this podcast called Morning Garb. Who's ready to gab about garb?
The amount of puns would be endless, honestly.
Oh, well, for the Patreon.
Can I just tell you, speaking of puns and funny shit, I braved the Portland ice storm last weekend and saw Tina Fey and Amy Poehler live at the Moda Center.
Oh my God.
And it was the most glorious. I laughed so hard that I cried. Maya Rudolph came on stage and it was great. It was a surprise to everybody. The crowd went nuts. We got tickets at the 300 level, which is nosebleed seats, but there was the literal ice storm that took over Portland that's finally gone basically now for most people in the greater metro area. The ice storm had just started that day. And we were like, are they going to cancel it? I don't know. And we also didn't want to get stuck in the parking garage or pay for the parking garage.
Yeah.
So we parked at a brewery 15 minutes away and then trekked through 13, 14 degree weather. I shit you not.
Caitlin.
It was bizarre. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was worth it. They were great. They both were great. They both did some improv, some stand up, some sketches. It was amazing.
That's wild. I can't believe that they were there.
Yeah. It was nuts.
That is so nuts, but that sounds like such an amazing time, and all of it colored by the weather.
Yeah, and the will they, won't they get to the show at all.
I thought that was going to be will they, won't they get home from the show vis-a-vis you and Chris.
Oh, no, everybody made it home,
okay,
but it was really fun.
That sounds amazing. Luckily, Seattle just skirted around that storm like a sneaky
great.
Little devil that we are.
It was not fun at all. After day 2 or 3, I was like, this is bullshit, especially because I've been moving in the midst of it. By some miracle, the movers were able to get my stuff in and out a few days ago, and this is my first record in the new office space. So, here it is, bitches.
I mean, we love to christen a new podcasting zone.
Yeah, the new pod studio.
We've come very far from recording on the floor.
Yeah.
To both having desks.
It's a miracle.
And one of us in a home that we own.
Yeah, that's not something that I saw on my bingo card for 2023.
I mean, yet you bongoed.
And here we are.
Yeah. Yet you bingo, bongo, bangoed. 1 second. There's something I want to do before we start. Because there's a promise I made to you all.
Oh, God.
All right. I told you 2024, year of the dinosaur.
Oh, shit. All right. Back to back.
I do not have a full dinosaur topic. But
okay,
to honor my promise to talk more about dinosaurs, period, I will be opening every topic that I do with a different dinosaur fact, regardless of the topic.
Cool. I like a new tradition. It kind of feels like it replaces the Thought Catalog article with the puns.
Exactly.
It's a good way to center us before we start our stories.
Yes. That's what I thought. So I will give you this dinosaur fact. There are around 700 known species of extinct dinosaurs.
That's just what's known, baby.
Yeah, and they're finding new ones. I wouldn't say all the time, but they are finding new ones. We talked about one last week.
Yeah, they find them.
They find them. They do.
They do be finding them.
Yes. So that was your dino fact of the episode.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now to move.
Dinosaurs.
And
all 700 of them.
I know. And bonus dino fact.
Whoa.
Dinosaur fossils have been...
Stop. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. What is it?
Oh, just that our friends' dinosaurs have been found on all 7 continents.
Oh, shit.
There's no place Dino did not go.
Back when the world was one giant piece of land.
Yeah, Pangea do make it easier. Yeah, don't tell those 9-month cruise people about Pangea. They'll be so mad.
It's okay. We're not going back, I don't think.
So now that we've gotten a light dinosaur fact out of the way, I do have to unfortunately bring us into a more somber breaking news, breaking bones story.
Okay.
I think that I sent you a TikTok about this, actually.
I believe it.
Oh, where the heck is my... Oh, god damn it.
What?
Oh, just, I created the, nothing bad. I just created the, document in my work Gmail, or my work Google account, not
Classic. Yeah.
my personal one. So, if, my boss who does have access to my, work Gmail just does a little scooting around, they'll see this 6-page document
Deep
about,
dive.
about the 215 sets of remains that were found behind a Mississippi jail.
Yeah, I'm glad you're talking about this, because somebody's got to.
Somebody has to. This is one of the most upsetting stories that I think that I've covered, just because there are, there's no ranking the pain of people who are involved in things like this. Like, it's all apples and oranges, to say the very least. But the way that this story is one big tale of incompetence, racism, just indifference to real people and what becomes of them is shocking, and in itself not shocking when you think about our country and what regularly happens, with police brutality, racism at every level of every system of our country. This Pauper's Field is not the first, and it's not the last of these unlawful, unsanctioned, essentially, it would be very kind to the people who created it and to the people who buried it there to call it a cemetery. But what they did was they created a mass grave, a dumping ground, a pauper's field. A dumping
ground is what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah. One member of one of the families literally was saying that they treated her family member like actual trash and threw them away.
Yeah, it's hideous.
It's insidious, hideous, and disgusting, but we have to talk about it.
Yeah, let's tell me about it.
So I'll give you some sources off the top. We have NPR, NBC News, PBS, CNN, WLBT, and another from NBC. The story of this cemetery of lost souls takes place in Mississippi, in Hinds County. A woman named Gretchen Hankins waited a year and 7 months to find out what happened to her missing son.
Ugh.
But what she did not know is that all the time she was looking for him, all the time she was hoping and believing that he was alive, he was already dead and buried in a place she had zero knowledge of.
Oh my God. Did she know he was in jail?
No. And as we'll go through, at least in several accounts, these people don't come from jail.
What?
Yeah.
It's behind a jail. Okay.
It's behind a jail. So Gretchen Hankins' son was one of at least 215 people who were buried in this Pauper's Field behind Hinds County Jail in Mississippi. She was never notified of her son's death or asked what she wanted done with his body. And like the other 215 found in the unauthorized cemetery, Jonathan Haskins was buried in an empty field that smelled so bad it attracted buzzards.
Ugh. Yeah, because they probably didn't use coffins, did they?
No, I read in one source that they used body bags.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
And of course, no headstone for these people, just a metal pole with a number on it.
Oh my God.
Which is chilling.
I don't understand how this even exists. Like, is it government sanctioned? Like, who is dumping bodies there?
This is what we are looking into. This is what is unfolding, trying to figure out how over 200 people came to be buried in this place. And I think it is the government, it is the police, it is, I have the name of the board here somewhere. Hinds County Board of Supervisors are the ones who approve the burials at Hinds County Penal Farm.
What the fuck?
I know. As you'll see, this is all entrenched in like weird police and bureaucratic incompetence and racism and classism. It's bad shit, because these, at least in Haskins' case, she had reported her son missing to the Rankin County Sheriff's Department in June of 2022, and she never heard anything back about her son.
Oh my God. Just like the lack of not only empathy, but just like dignity. Like, not even to just not acknowledge a missing persons report doesn't make any sense.
Right? And the thing is that her son, Jonathan, was found dead in Jackson, Mississippi in a hotel room. And he was picked up by police after being found in this hotel room. A prominent civil rights attorney, Benjamin Crump, who is representing at least 3 of the families of people buried in this cemetery, says that this is unlawful to do, and that he wants a federal investigation of what's going on here. And I'm like, yes, please.
Get it, because that's ridiculous. That just, I mean, it's depraved. I don't understand how that could even happen. 215 people that are just there with no records and just chaos.
A quote from him says, quote, "We know based on records from the coroner's office that since 2016, in the last 8 years, we can identify 215 individuals that were buried behind that jail, and their families have not been notified."
Whoa.
Yeah, and apparently there is no set policy for notifying people of the deaths of their loved ones.
Even if there's a missing persons report out, like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think they have to they have to at least try to find a next of kin. Like,
yes.
To just, like, across the board say we're not doing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you would think that they would do the very basics, because we have another story of another individual who was buried there, because at every turn they failed this next family that I'll talk about. But the real rich thing is this quote from a spokesperson for the Hinds County jail. And she says, quote, "It is not a secret burial ground. In those graves are the bodies of those who went unclaimed by family when they died. These persons are either homeless people, inmates from local jails who died, but relatives never claimed their bodies, unidentified persons who officials were never able to contact with family, or even persons who died, whose families couldn't afford a funeral." So that's her explanation, right? And all you're saying, Sophie, why are you reading that in such a condescending voice?
Yeah, it almost sounds plausible, but...
It almost sounds plausible. And here's the thing, there are places for that.
Sure.
There are those kinds of cemeteries, and those kinds of cemeteries are extremely important because everyone deserves a dignified burial. That is not what this was. I do not give a shit what this lady says. I've seen pictures of this field. I have seen pets that get more dignified burials than these human beings.
That's, I don't understand.
And just keep in mind what she said about how these are graves for people whose families, they never got in touch with them, and they couldn't find the next of kin, or there was next of kin, but they were deceased, or they couldn't afford a funeral.
Did you try? Sorry, I don't believe that 215. Okay, I don't buy it, but sure.
It's absolutely heinous, because I want to talk about the story of Betterson Wade and her son Dexter. Betterson is an older woman, and her son Dexter was 37 when he went missing from her house one night in March of 2023. And when he did not come home, she reported him missing to the Jackson police. It would be 172 days after Betterson's son's disappearance that she would learn that only an hour after he left his home, he was struck by a police car.
What?
And killed.
And they just buried him and buried the evidence?
The
and
police
didn't tell anyone?
The police knew his name and they knew who he was, but they did not contact her, and they let his body go unclaimed in the morgue for months.
Oh my God. That really is, that's on another level of, just have some respect for another human being. I don't understand how you just are like,
this is so hideous.
Wow.
Because so Betterson is a single mom, and she's got 3 kids, and she is always trying to support them. But of course her son Dexter, like teenagers are going to do, got into trouble a little bit as a kid, and then later on he started kind of falling into the wrong crowd of kids, well, actually older men, who started encouraging him to steal cars and things like that. And that's how he eventually came into the prison system. He was in and out of prison for a time in his life, but he was able to actually have a partner and was able to have 2 daughters. But he unfortunately had to go back to prison again. And after he got out, he was dealing with a lot of mental health issues, which included bipolar and schizophrenia. So he's having a bit of a harder time.
Yeah, for sure.
Than most, yeah. But he loved his daughters a lot. He always made time to see them. He spoke to them on the phone all the time. People said he was a really great dad. And he rarely left the house other than to run errands and things like that. When he went missing, Betterson said that it was really difficult to call the police. This is a Black family, and I think anyone with an awareness of the history of police brutality and police racism would understand why she maybe would not want to call the police.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you can't trust the police, why would you report your son missing to them? Even though that is a
I mean, but she also has personal experience as well, because her older brother was killed by a Jackson police officer.
Oh my God. This is horrible.
It's hideous, but it is 100% real, and it is 100% happening.
Yeah.
And, one night, Dexter leaves his house after having a conversation with his mom, a disagreement, I think I remember her saying. And he, walks a bit away from his house, and he goes to cross the highway, and he is hit by an off-duty police officer.
Oh my God.
And so they bring his body to the morgue. An investigator from the Hinds County Coroner's Office ended up responding to the scene, and he said that he did not find any identification on Dexter while examining him, but he did find a bottle of prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it. So they knew the day he died who he was.
Yeah, every prescription bottle is going to have your name on it. Yeah, okay.
And so, like, a few days later, the investigator, LeGrand Elliott, contacts the medical facility that provided the medication to Dexter. And they were like, okay, here's his mother, Betterson, and, you know, all of the contact information for her. And he said that he called her, but she never received that phone call.
God.
They also identified Dexter through his fucking fingerprints.
Well, and like the medical facility is going to have an address too, so you just go to the address.
Right? And like and so like Elliot, who like is the investigator, the medical investigator, is like trying to contact Betterson, but he doesn't try to contact her anymore. He just keeps contacting the police, and he contacts them from March to June, asking for updates on whether they have contacted this person's next of kin. His body is lying in the morgue this entire time.
Wow.
And she, on her side, Betterson, is calling the police. She's calling the police, asking for updates. She's posting on Facebook. She's having to look her fucking grandkids in the face and say, no, we still don't know where your dad is.
Jesus. And he's in the morgue, in their custody, in police custody.
Yeah.
With a medication bottle on his person when he dies. Like, that's insane. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And after what they call all this lack of effort, like, I'm not even going with, if one of the sources that I has a whole timeline of every single time they failed to notify Betterson, and every time that Elliot was like, hey, you contact that dead man's mom yet? And they're like, no, didn't do it yet, haven't gotten there.
Wow.
And by July 14th, they're saying no one's claiming his body, so they bury him in this field for people who, quote unquote, have no family, quote unquote, they could never find out who they were.
Yeah, basically, so now the investigation just stops, like, because nothing happens until they're discovered in this field, basically.
I mean, what ends up happening is, so he's buried in July. In August, an investigator calls up Betterson and says, hey, can we talk in person? And she's
finally.
Yeah. And she's like, I already know what you're going to tell me. You know, like, you're going to tell me that my son is dead. She wasn't ready for your son is dead and buried. Like, what?
And has been for months.
And you didn't know. You spent every waking hour of your day trying to find your son, and he's been in our morgue this whole time. And the real kicker is to get back to claim Dexter's body. She had to pay $250.
No. After
she
all
had
that.
to buy back her son.
That they hid from her, essentially.
Who was killed by police.
Yeah, was struck by a police vehicle. And is there obviously a police officer did it. So was there an investigation? Was there any disciplinary action taken? Like, is that person allowed to drive still? Like, that's...
They said that they ruled it an accident, and they said that he wasn't under the influence, but they didn't do a field sobriety test on him.
Okay.
There were basically no consequences for this man, or for this cover-up. that's happening, because this is
That's
one
it.
story. This is one
Yeah.
story of one person.
Of the 215 plus.
Yeah. And so she was notified in August, right? She could
Okay.
not get an appointment to see her son's grave until October.
Oh, wow.
So she knows that he's buried, doesn't know where he is, and they finally are like, okay, here's the address, here you can go. And, you know, it's, they finally find his plot 672. And I'm going to read you this quote, and it is going to rip your heart out. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, Kuno doesn't want to hear it.
Oh.
He's like, Mama, no. When she finally was able to see her son's grave, she said, quote, Dexter, I want to tell you I am so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened to you, but Mama didn't know. Mama didn't know.
Fuck.
She didn't know.
Yeah, and clearly she was findable. Somebody was able to go to her house and talk to her or get a hold of her.
She was
Like,
screaming
how
from
hard-
the rooftop. She's posting pictures of her son on Facebook every day.
Like, how do you, he's not and he wasn't a John Doe.
No.
That's the thing. It's like, if he had a prescription bottle with him that had his name on it, how does this happen? That's insane.
Yeah.
And then she has to pay to get him back. Like, that's just like insult to injury.
Yeah, and I tried to find somewhere where we as boneheads could donate to trying
Yeah.
to get people to help buy back their loved ones. But I haven't found where it's set up yet. But I'll have updates as soon as I can with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep us posted.
Will do.
Future Sophie here with an update. I found the GoFundMe for Dexter Wade, and it looks like they have raised $19,767. So Betterson definitely has the funds to reclaim her son and finance a beautiful funeral for him.
I just want to round this out with with what the police have said
Oh, God.
about it.
Sure. Can't wait for this. Can't wait for this.
The Jackson Police Department made an announcement in November that it will institute a death notification policy. This is a policy that did not previously exist. Quote,
They have records,
Yeah.
apparently.
oh yeah, they got
So-
records.
What the fuck?
Oh my goodness. Quote, we want to make sure we're giving the best police service to our citizens.
No.
So we
Fuck
have
off.
a death notification policy that is signed as of today and will roll out today. Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade. Good job, Joseph.
Yeah,
you did the
congratulations.
bare minimum. Good job,
So-
buddy.
So, what was this person's name that we were just talking about?
Dexter,
Dexter.
who was struck by the police.
When Dexter's mom gets like notified in August,
Yeah.
and then flash forward to October, she's able to get his body, and then November is when people find out, and so they have to make like a public statement about it.
Yeah, because this, I'm not sure if it reached national news. I hope that it did. Finding a CNN article on it actually was a bit harder than I thought it was going to be. I found out about it on TikTok. Like, that's
Yeah,
where I
that's-
found out about it, which is wild. Like, and like, I'm on a side of TikTok where, like, you know, we're talking about mortuary scandals. We're talking about Victorian death. You know, it makes a lot of sense that would come up. But I was astounded to see how little press there was on it.
Well, it screams like massive incompetence or indifference.
Yes.
Like, it's one or the other.
I mean, it's
And,
someone
like,
looking
is
at this
it
person.
malicious? Like,
Yeah.
is it, like, and it's like, obviously it's so many different cases. Like, 215 at least that we know about, but like, yeah, I'm baffled by this.
There's just like honestly no excuse, like, because the medical investigator found out his identity so fast, and when he was able to speak to Betterson, he told her that he's known her son's identity from day one. Believe me, she was
insane.
not happy to hear that. I wouldn't be. I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Are you fucking serious?
Well, I'd be like, why didn't you call me? But it's like, it's not my job. I don't know.
He said that he said that he did, but in the article I read, it said that he only called her directly once.
Huh. I don't know. It's a mess. That you shouldn't have to fight so hard to find out what happened to someone who is in police custody.
Right? You know, this was not an arrest. This was nothing. This was a person crossing a road.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but like, this is one example of, 215. Like, there are like 3 prominent families right now whose stories are being shared, and I like encourage everyone to like, give as much eyes and ears to like those families as possible, because they're fighting an uphill battle here. There's not as much media on this as there should be. There's not enough pressure on these people to have this federal investigation, because this is one jail cemetery. We have so many jails.
Yeah. That's
so
the
many
scary
missing
part.
people. Yes.
The indifference is what's so scary. Like, and if that's happening on like a institutional level in one place, like it can happen somewhere else, and that's really terrifying.
Yeah. This story broke at the end of this past year. Like, this is here and now. This is our country right now.
Well, thank you for telling that story. And
thank you for hearing it.
And yeah, and said, obviously we should update as we learn more,
yes,
because it's very brand new, and well, not brand new, but brand new to us and probably a lot of our listeners.
Brand new to the public eye.
So yeah, I think amplifying this story is important.
Thank you. Thank you, Boneheads, for being interested in this type of thing. And like, death-related justice is something that we believe in so strongly. And, there's a lot of the things in like world events, it feels like you're powerless. But, if something in our backyard we can amplify and have an effect on.
Hell yeah. Agreed. Sidebar. Why don't we do a 2-parter?
I think that's a good idea.
Well, to all the boneheads out there, share this episode, share it on TikTok, share it on, tell people, talk. This should be national, international news. And the more people talk about it, the more people pay attention, the more likely there'll be some kind of action taken to make sure this doesn't happen all the time, even though I'm scared that it could be happening in other places.
That's what scares me too, because there's such an opportunity to happen in other places. This was such a quiet thing that nobody knew about for years and years and years. And
yeah, for God knows how long. Exactly.
And like, it brings to mind, other acts of like death injustice that erase, a person's identity. And we've talked about, funeral home scandals, people selling body parts, people refusing to cremate people, this, that. But what really hits this for me, unlike anything else, is the blindness that all these families have been kept in. The hope that they held for so long, that one day maybe that person would walk back in the door. Maybe they'd get a call someday that person showed up to a hospital somewhere or something. But all that hope, it was lying in a morgue for months.
Yeah. And if these are just a few of the stories that I'm hearing, I'm scared to know what the other, excuses are for, or the trail of evidence, what actually was done to try and contact any family members, do any kind of investigation into these deaths. Like, it's just, I feel like there's going to be more bad news out of this story.
Yeah, if I read you the whole timeline on this thing, you would have ripped your own eyes out.
Oh, God, I bet. Well, Boneheads, we really encourage you to learn more about this and share the story. And then we're going to come back next week with a special on, well, one of the worst serial killers of all time. So this is a couple of weeks for the true crime folks, apparently.
Yes. Thank you again for listening. And if you want to share our podcast, it's available on all of your podcast platforms. We will see you next week.
Bon voyage.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter,
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
at Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Hey, podcast lovers. My name is Haley, and I run the Don't Identify podcast. I have been passionate about helping the unidentified get their names back ever since I found out I lived within miles of where Sherry Ann Jarvis, formerly known as the Walker County Jane Doe, was found. In my podcast, I tell the stories and provide information about unidentified people in hopes of reaching their loved ones and getting their names back. So come join me and help me advocate for these people. You never know, you could recognize someone's story.